Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This question's for both of you guys, and Brad, I'd like to have you answer this kind of from the owner's perspective more than anything. Would you be in favor of this event becoming a points race and moving away from just being an exhibition?
I don't think there's a good way to answer that. I think that to me, as I look at this, I think there's a lot of possibilities of things that you could do with other venues. I like it as something that could move around and go to different spots. And I think when you look at the stadium aspect of things, opens up possibilities to take this event to different countries and different parts of the world to expose our sports. So, yeah, or you could have a stadium series. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of options. I think this has opened a lot of doors that probably, in the past weren't really expected to be open. Because when I came here last year, I really thought this was going to be a joke, personally. And it was probably one of the races that I had the most fun at last year. And you look at the atmosphere and everything that happened, it was a great event. And I think coming back this year, everybody's looking forward to it.
Yeah, Jordan, I think it's a great venue. They did a heck of a job. Similar to Kevin, I had some pretty big concerns coming in here last year, and I was blown out of the water by what I saw here. I thought they did an amazing job. So the potential is here to do so many different things, points races, or carry the idea to other venues that I think it's certainly in 1 year's time earned a lot of respect within the industry that opens up numerous doors and opportunities. So how that plays forward, I know I'm pretty open-minded to as both a driver and an owner, and look forward to seeing it do just that play out.
Greg, did I see it? We'll go to Greg, then Jeff, then Zach, and then Dustin.
Hey, Kevin. I just retired, too, so I'm not going to make any retirement jokes. But I do want to ask, everything you do this year is going to be your last, your final one, barring any, one-offs, coming back and running Daytona 500 or anything.
Not going to happen.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Never change my mind. Does that change your mindset? Because a lot of times, the years can kind of run together, if you know what I mean. You're going to race at Daytona, and you'll be back at Daytona. You'll race at Bristol, you'll be back at Bristol, that kind of thing. But these are going to be now coming to the final ones. Does that kind of change your mindset at all, or is it business as usual?
Well, I think when you look at events now, I think it allows you to look back at the things that you've been a part of and be in the moment at these particular events and really every event as you go to in different parts of the country. You have your spots that you like to eat or things you like about the track or people that you know in that area. And so I'm fortunate to have done this for a long time. I feel like the timing of everything is really good. I go into events and I feel like we prepare and we go to the event and we do what we're supposed to do and we go home. So, I'm definitely going to try to enjoy, the moments that you have at the racetrack. But in the end, I feel really good about the timing of stepping out of the car at the end of the year. So I am looking forward to going to all these places for the last time. But I think as you go through the moments and different things, you'll start to remember and celebrate things as we go along the way.
Go to Jeff.
Kevin, last year you sat up here in the same spot, and you were the first one that had declared it a success right away before we even saw a car on track. You said, I don't think you can screw it up at this point. You can't. I'm telling you, the race doesn't even matter. Year two, does it change, or is this setting, focus on the entertainment, the show, that kind of thing, always going to be the nature of this race?
Well, I think all of our races need to be great events. And I think that when you go and you watch a Super Bowl, the event is great, no matter what happens in the game, because it's the Super Bowl and everything that leads up to and builds up to, and so I think that's one thing that as we go along to all the races need to be. We need more events, and when we go to Chicago this year, it's going to be a great event before we ever even get there, and who knows how the race will go, and I think as you look at the atmosphere and everything that has come with this particular event, it'll probably be better than it was last year, just because of the fact that everybody knows how it works and all the lead up and hype and anticipation is still there for everything as we've come in here this year. So I don't think it'll be worse.
Go to Zach, then Dustin.
Zach Sterniolo with NASCAR.com. Excuse me. For Brad, knowing that Kevin's retiring at the end of this season, I'm just curious your takes on kind of his career and what Kevin has meant to the sport. And I know it might be a little weird with him sitting right. I was going to say with you sitting right there, but knowing that he's a champion
Super
as well.
awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll answer that. And he can answer vice versa. No, I mean,
Are you retiring too?
no, God no. I have got 2 kids and a lot of bills to pay. Someone once told me earlier in my career, if you want to be good as a race car driver, stay in debt because you'll make different decisions. So I've done too good of a job at that lately. So no plans. Got a lot of stuff to do. But no, I think I obviously look at Kevin and think of the opportunity that he had. Was it 20 years ago? 22? 23? Wow. And I can't imagine having to go through that set of circumstances, which and the weight that would come with that and all that, and trying to take that forward and to be able to do that and to overcome those, that weight and to win races at all 3 levels and championships as owner driver at all 3 levels. I can't think of anyone else that's done that, at least not in this era, to the regard that he's done. And so, I think that's a tremendous accomplishment that, is easy to lose sight of. We get so focused on what have you done like last week that I think sometimes we lose sight on what people have done, over their career and certainly sometimes even over just a few years. So, to take over that and then to, have a new Cup team, an opportunity 8 or 9 years ago with Stuart Haas and to build that into a winner, that's in itself, those are incredible accomplishments. So, and then you think of all the different partners I think you've brought in the sport. So you got the business side, you've got the competitive side, and it's kind of wins across both boards, which is really hard to do. I think there's a lot of drivers that are, or a lot of people in the sport that are successful in one piece of the environment, but to be successful in multiple pieces of the environment is that much more challenging. So to be able to have that legacy is one that I'm sure Kevin's proud of, and as the industry reflects back over the course of the year, I hope it takes the time to remember as well.
I'll pay you later.
Okay.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. I've got one for both of you. I'll start with Brad. From a team owner's perspective, can you give me a sense of what the value of this event is? Obviously, it was a good TV rating last year, but also when you look at it, the purse is probably the lowest of any of the races. There's a cost to come out. How do you, I guess, come up with the value and what it means for a team for this type of event?
Yeah, it's an interesting event. When you look at the revenues of the race teams, the majority of the revenues are coming from the sponsors. So, it does okay for that. But when you look at it for the value to the industry, it's probably, in my opinion, the second most valuable event that we have all year to the Daytona 500. To be in Los Angeles, which is certainly a huge market. I read some graphic the other day from NASCAR that we have more fans in LA than any other area, which is hard to think of. But of all the regions we go to, there's more NASCAR fans here than anywhere else. And so I think we lose sight of that sometimes. But to be able to be in their backyard and to engage them for a key event, I think that's really important. And of course, for our TV partners, this is a tremendous event as well. And they're the lifeblood of our sport in so many different ways as probably the primary revenue generator. So, from the team perspective, it's probably more neutral. But from an industry perspective, this is a significant event for us.
And Kevin, for you, with your years of experience and how the cars have evolved, I remember conversations with drivers in the past where it was so much more about the car than the driver. And certainly the driver's always played a role, but in some cases maybe not as significant. And I'm curious, with this car, how are you seeing what the impact of a driver can have, and how does that compare with some of the other versions of the car that you've raced in the past?
When you step into a car that a team has scienced out, it's particularly easy because of the fact that the driver can get in and they can tell him what to do. Where it becomes difficult, and Brad can speak to this as well, with what he stepped into, it's incredibly important to be a part of the conversation and a part of the progression of the race team because the things that you say and the things that you do and how you communicate those things and how you follow through on those things, the things you push for, the things you give for, are extremely important to the direction of the race team and the decisions that are made in the development of setups and really whatever else you're trying to develop, whether it's simulator, whether it's setups, whether it's at the track. You're a piece of that puzzle, and you're a piece of that puzzle that has, you know, the biggest feel of the car and the things that they're changing and the things that are happening, whether they work or don't work, and whether that relates to simulation or the simulator, and how all of those programs proceed forward. You know, is whether it's positive or negative, you know, can be detrimental to have to take 8-10 steps backwards to try to unwind things as you make a wrong move in the development. So an experienced driver and learning how to test and develop is not a quality that a lot of our younger guys have, because they've never had to run a test or be responsible for the decisions that are being made from the engineering staff, and a lot of them are very agreeable to what people say, and in deep down they know that that's probably not what they felt, but they just don't want to rock the boat. So you have to have that franchise leader to be able to make those decisions, and the staff and everybody believe, okay, what I said as a driver is what they're going to do, or a blend of the engineering staff and the crew chiefs and the people making the decisions on what we're going to do to the car. So there's always something to develop. You know, they can keep simplifying everything, and it's just going to make it harder to kick the crumbs out that are better to make the car go faster. So it's a never ending progression, and you know, the driver is a key part of that to keep the organization on par from a competition standpoint, to keep the cars progressing forward.
Go to Holly.
Brad, you have a year under your belt as the team owner and driver. What do you feel most optimistic about this season?
Ooh. Yeah, you know, I think, Holly, you come into it, kind of piggyback a little bit off of Kevin's comments, that, you know, when your responsibility as a driver in a lot of ways is to kind of find the last 5-10% of a car and optimize the performance around that. And what's really tough is, you know, when you start at 60%, even if you get 5 or 10%, you're still at a 70%, right? And we started the year last year so far behind, I didn't feel like I could even really help. So, you know, getting halfway through the year, it started to get to where, you know, I think my feedback and input was valuable, and we started to make the right moves. And then you kind of naturally run into this trap that the things you need to fix, you either don't have the time to fix, or you're contractually limited with people or, you know, tools and contracts and so forth. And you literally just have to endure the pain till you get to an off season. So this was a really important off season for us at RFK to really apply a lot of the super painful lessons of last year. And I think we've done a lot of that. We've said, all right, we know what we don't know, and now we got to fix it. And then we got through the off season, and we went to work and really dug down deep on a number of projects, you know, some internal, some external, some people related, some resources related, and I can't say that we've got all of them checked off, but we made a lot of progress this off season. So I'm super optimistic to see that play out on the racetrack.
Apologize again, we can't get to everybody. We're going to wrap up here with Jeff, and then we'll let these gentlemen go.
Brad, you missed the main last year here, but do you like a format that sends people home? Like, do you like that storyline for NASCAR?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, there's only one winner at the end of the day, so whether you go home early or late, you know, it's kind of all the same in some regard. But you know, there's always the pressures of, hey, partners and getting them on the racetrack and the business model and economics of that. But in the end, we have to do what's best for the fans, and from that perspective, I think obviously to put on an event like this, it's difficult to put 36 cars on the track and make something that is the best product possible for the fans. So I think I would look at it always through the lens of what's best for the fans. And in this event, I think a few cars have to go home to make that be the best it can be.